You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Graeme on Amateur Sports TV. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Today's episode is sponsored by Pedersen, Fabricland Winkler, and Toby Hockey. In today's episode, I had a chance to sit down with number 9 defenseman of the Regina Rebels, Sydney Pedersen. Sydney is in her 4th year and her final year with Regina this year, and she is also a co-captain on this year's team. She signed her commitment to Robert Morris University on National Signing Day for the season of 2021 on November 12th. She's also had a chance to play at the Peewee AA level in her career, the Bantam AA level, as well as playing in spring hockey too. So sit back, enjoy today's edition of Coffee with Graeme on Amateur Sports TV with Sydney Pedersen, number 9 of the Regina Rebels. As mentioned in the intro, you committed to Robert Morris University for next season. You signed on November 12th, which was National Signing Day. I mean, what was so appealing about Robert Morris University, and why did you decide to pick that university to continue your career?
So last year I went down there in September and took a tour, and it's actually not in Pittsburgh, it's in Moon Township, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh. Yeah. And I found that really appealing, being a small town kid, kind of going into a place almost the size of Moose Jaw, and then also being close to Pittsburgh as well and all the other towns surrounding. So I like that aspect. The team itself is a really good group of girls, and there's a close group with a great coaching staff. The team has been very successful in the past few years, and they're always in the top 10. So I thought it was very special to have a team that I felt the school fit me as much as the team itself.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to have a chance to play with Bailey Kerwin, who plays for Swift Current. You're going to have a chance to play with Ryan Parrott in 2022. How nice is it to know that you're going to be able to play with players that you played in the same league against?
It's definitely easier making the transition to go down there. Bailey, I've known for a long time. We played spring together, and as well as Team Sask. And I feel that knowing someone going down there and having a travel buddy as well will make things a lot easier.
And how are you kind of coming to the determination that you're going to be moving away from home to pursue this?
I think that it's kind of, I would go tomorrow, honestly, if I could. I'm really excited to go down there. I think it's a little bit scary and intimidating, but at the same time, I think I'll be so busy I won't have enough time to think about home and all the rest.
Yeah, and you still have a chance to stay in contact with family, of course, with technology, so you're never going to be away from them from too long with connecting with them virtually. So that's a really nice thing, especially in this day and age where technology is everywhere. I mean, we're connecting right now virtually, which is pretty cool. But just talking about the lifestyle of university and just university hockey, what are you hoping to take away from your years of playing there when you do get there?
I think I want to go and just become and mature as a person and as well as a hockey player. I think going to play somewhere away from Saskatchewan and kind of going to explore a little bit more has always been a goal of mine, and especially to use hockey as a way to get a better education as well. So I think coming out of it, I wish to complete my degree, and I wish to develop as a person and a hockey player thoroughly.
And there's going to be some bigger crowds out there when you guys play, assuming that there are going to be fans back in the stands like usual when COVID sorts itself out, when this whole situation gets itself sorted out. How excited are you to play in front of these big crowds that are going to be at these games?
That's part of the reason that I did want to go down south to play. I think even when I went down there, you could feel it walking around the university that sports are a lot bigger than in Canadian universities, like going to the U of R or something like that. So I do think it's going to be exciting, and it just gets the adrenaline pumping when you get to hear the crowd cheering and be behind you.
And I haven't had a chance to look at it or anything, but what are you going to be studying as your major when you're going there?
I hope to take biology and finish that off down there and then come back and trying to get into med school. That's plan A, but it can always change along the way.
And how excited are you to start life, living with a roommate, kind of experiencing the lifestyle of being at a, university, that university lifestyle?
I think that it's going to be awesome, honestly, just to be around the girls all the time and to have another family outside of the one I already have. I know growing up with the Rebels, and it's always been a tight knit group, and it's always fun to see new people and experience new things with them. And I'm super excited to go down there and see something a little bit different than Regina, Saskatchewan.
Well, we're going to move away now from your university commitment. We're going to move into the places that you played in your career before joining the Regina Rebels. You joined Regina, their AAA team at the midget level back in 2017-18. But before that, you were playing Peewee hockey, just hockey in general, all the way up to Peewee in your hometown, the town you were born in Milestone, Saskatchewan. Just how was that like growing up in your hometown of Milestone, in a smaller town than the towns you've been living in, like Weyburn and Regina, but just growing up in that small town aspect of things?
I really enjoyed it. It definitely developed me as a person and a hockey player. You always know all the kids, you go to school with them, then you see them at the rink the next couple hours. Then you also are coached. My dad coached me all the way up until Peewee as well. And I think just the bonding between father-daughter aspect and also the support in a small town is amazing. Between the provincial games or the playoff games, all the younger kids would come and all the older fans and everything. It would just be so much excitement around the rink.
And did you have a chance to make, I mean, it's a long time ago, but make any friendships that you still consider and you do consider friends for life?
Oh yeah, for sure. All the kids that I did play with in Milestone, I'm still connected with. I grew up with them since I was little, and I was at school with them as well as played hockey with them for probably like 8 or 9 years. And I'm still involved in Milestone as well, so I see them once in a while, and I definitely think that they'll be lifelong friendships.
It's a while ago, but yeah, the friendships, the bonding, the experience of getting to play like for your dad as one of your coaches. What are going to be the things that you kind of look back at the end of your playing time and look back at those years playing in your hometown of Milestone, and just things that you'll never forget?
I think definitely the people and the supports. I know whenever we go back to a younger kids game or senior game, they always ask, "Oh, how's hockey going? What are you doing now?" and all that kind of stuff. And I definitely will miss that. I think just the overall excitement around the town in the rink. Everybody's like, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" Going to the rink. It was just kind of a whole town community. Community was definitely a big game changer in that, with all the support. Hockey is in Regina is fun, but not everybody's at the rink all the time. And I think in Milestone, it was more of a social event than it was hockey.
So you'd say that's probably the most special thing about Milestone, is just everyone coming together to support hockey, just the community aspect of things.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely do miss that aspect for sure.
Moving into when you moved to Weyburn to continue playing AA Peewee, you had a chance to play on a boys team, and you told me that you were the only girl on the team when we were talking a bit before the interview earlier. I think you sent me an email and you talked about it, but just being able to play on a team with all boys, you being the only girl, how was that aspect of things?
Especially since I was going down there not really knowing anyone, I would definitely say it was a little bit of a challenge at the beginning. I kind of fell into a group that were kind of there for the same reason I was, to develop, to be better, to go on to a different place in hockey and to always surround yourself with successful people is what I've always been told, and that's kind of the group I clicked with. There's definitely some that were just there to have fun or stuff like that, and I definitely did have my situations that were difficult and had to overcome them, but it was a very fun experience in the least, and I don't regret it at all. And I think it was I had to go there basically to develop my hockey. I was at that stage where playing house and milestone was fun, but if I wanted to end up somewhere playing hockey, I knew I had to go and develop more and experience other things and different people. And I think that being the only girl made me stronger, I guess. And I've always been one that's always been with the boys and always been friends with the boys over the girls anyways. So I did really enjoy it.
And definitely those difficulties is being the only girl on a team full of boys, I'm assuming, but could you dive a bit more into those difficulties that you did face at those times?
I think one of them was earning their respect. Early in the season, I was named an assistant captain on the team, and I think that surprised a lot of them, and they didn't feel that they needed to respect me because I was a girl and things like that. And then there were situations that arose in the dressing room or things like that that I had to overcome and kind of talk myself through it and explain things to them. But for the most part, they were, as the season went on and they got to know me more, I felt like I fit in pretty well.
And looking back at it now, you're in your 4th year with this Regina Rebels team, and back then being named an assistant and just trying to earn your teammates' respect and just the trust of you, proving that you're that right person to wear a letter. Do you think that experiencing those experiences back then just made you more mentally tough and just better off now than if you weren't able to experience those things?
Yeah, exactly. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think that growing up with boys and facing adversity along the way has definitely built me to be a stronger person. I do feel that I'm a natural leader, and I think that's why I was put in those positions along the way. And I think that I'm better for it in every way.
And could you speak about yourself as a leader, just what makes you the type of leader you are?
I'm definitely a strong personality. I'm not one to hide in the corner, that's for sure. I'm a loud person. I definitely like to make new friends. I'm not very shy, and I tend to lead by example. I'm a determined and motivated type of person, and I think that helps a lot of people to follow my lead and to contribute to their own development as well.
And development, not only off the ice, but on the ice, was one of the biggest things that you took away from those seasons. I mean, that season playing in boys hockey, but how did you develop as a player on the ice that season?
I think it was a lot faster game. I remember the first couple games were like, whoa, like this is a lot different. Building on the systems and all that kind of stuff, the more mental aspect of the game than the skills maybe. I do think that was one of my biggest developmental years. We were at the bottom of the league that year, but I think just getting a lot of ice time and facing different teams with a lot of talent were definitely helpful and instrumental in my getting to where I am.
Yeah, and you've had a lot of success with Regina making it to the semifinals in your first year, making it to the finals in your second year. You guys were the best team in the league last year, but didn't get to prove that you guys were the best in the playoffs by going out and winning a championship, trying to make a championship run. And this year you guys are undefeated so far in the season. But just going back to that time when you were at the bottom of the league, how did you handle that as a player, and how do you think the team handled that?
My first year, I don't think we were as tight-knit group as we have been as of these late years. I think for myself and a couple of my teammates that came in with me that year, there was only 3 of us rookies, and that was a very developmental year. We came in with only, I believe, 5 rookie defensemen, so there wasn't really any pecking order yet. You kind of earned your spot for playing time and things like that, and I think that was very hard to go against each other and have that little bit of competition. And to be at the bottom of the league, it was kind of mentally tough, as well as trying to work your way up the pecking order and to be at the top and develop as a player and a person that year.
After that season, You ended up moving to Regina and you played with the Regina Ravens in the female Bantam AA League, the SSFHL, so South Saskatchewan Female Hockey League in 2016-17. And you were an A that season as well. So I'm assuming that you were pegged for your ability to lead by example, not only on the ice, but off the ice. But you were also to put up a fair amount of points in that season. And last year with Regina, when you ended up winning a top defenseman award with another player, we're going to get into that later on in this interview. But just being able to not only be strong out there defensively back then, as I'm assuming you were, but be able to really lead your team on the back end, getting all those points. Were you always an offensive talent, or did you kind of hit your peak and start to peak in that season?
I do describe myself as an offensive defenseman. I've felt like I've been one since I was younger, and I've just kind of worked my way to be even more of one today. That year, I had the same coaches as I had in spring hockey, so they knew my kind of style of play, and they wanted to use it as an asset on the team, on the power play, and on the penalty kill as well, just trying to get as many goals and stuff as we could to win. We did have a really strong team that year, so it was easy to play off other players and have fun that way as well. So I think just having your coaches really rely on you and making sure that you get the opportunities as well.
Back here with Sydney Pedersen, number 9 of the Regina Rebels, joining me on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. We're about 2 days from Christmas Eve. Christmas Day coming up on this Friday. And I forgot to ask you, Sydney, how excited are you for Christmas coming up?
It'll definitely be fun. It's a little different this year for sure. It kind of came right out of the blue here. It doesn't even feel like Christmas yet, but I'm definitely excited to spend time with my family and have fun.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about where you are, but in Winnipeg, Manitoba, there was a while where we weren't getting much snow, and things were looking a bit different in that aspect for sure. Were you guys getting a lot of snow where you guys were?
No, we have freezing rain as of late. Not very much snow, but hopefully tomorrow it's supposed to have some, and for the rest of the week, so hopefully we'll have some for Christmas.
Wow, looking like a kind of a freezing rain type of Christmas instead of a white Christmas right now.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah. Just in terms of, just going off topic from sports here for a moment, but are you guys having a traditional Christmas dinner?
Yeah, we like to keep it simple around here. It's just, I'm an only child, so it's just going to be my mom and dad and I. So it'll be a simple but fun Christmas.
Yeah, and I assume that you usually see family around this time, like most people. But how different do you think that's going to be? Are you still going to be able to contact them virtually and kind of spend it that way with them?
Usually we're with my dad's family on Christmas Eve, which is his 2 brothers, and then my mom's side on Christmas Day. They all live right around Regina, so we do see them occasionally. It's been hard with COVID, but see them once in a while. So it's not as much as people coming from different parts of the world or anything like that. So it's definitely special to have the time with them, but we'll see them in other times too.
So we're going to move away from the Christmas talk. We're going to move back into your time playing with the Regina Ravens. And right before we went to break, you talked about how you were always that offensive, defensive type of player. Just talk about how you grew as a defensive player in your own end in that season.
I think it's always defense first for sure. Jeff Brick and Corey Terry were instrumental in my development growing up through growl and on the Ravens. And I think that there are two that are really big on defensive zone play as well as systems and penalty kill. So I think once again, the ice time and just going through the different situations on the ice is definitely just one thing that is easy to work on.
And after having a season playing with all boys, you got to play with all girls. How was that transition going into playing with all girls?
I always say to play boys as long as you can. I love playing with the girls, but it's definitely a lot more dramatic and things like that. Now that I'm more used to it, they're like family and sisters to me, so I really enjoy the time I get to spend with them on and off the ice. I do boys was fun too, but I think the girls is just a different aspect.
And was there a lot of drama in that year, or were you guys a tight-knit group?
That year was pretty good. All the girls got along for the most part, and I think that led to part of our success in the year for sure.
And Mike Merck is your coach now, and he talked about how last year might have been one of the best dressing rooms he's coached. Just talk about how important you think it is to be able to come together as a team and make the most of things, and just maybe set aside your differences and come together to go for something that's bigger than yourselves out there, winning that championship.
Yeah, exactly. My dad's always said you don't necessarily have to like them, but you have to respect them as a player and as a teammate. And I think that's really been a big part of the way I treat my teammates and the way I act around them as well. I know with the Rebels from our past experiences, the years that we've been a super good group and really good friends and tight with each other, we've always had more successful years and played better together. And Mike always says he can tell when something's going on in the room because we're off in practice or off in a game. And I think that's definitely something that contributes to the play on the ice for sure, is how your dressing room is. And I've just been fortunate to have a couple of really good dressing rooms these past couple of years.
Going back to your time with the Ravens, and then we'll move on to your time playing in spring hockey. But how do you guys end up doing in the playoffs that season, just in the regular season?
We won the league that year, as well as we went on to win provincials against the Saskatoon team. And I think that was one of my funnest couple games I've played. It was very exciting, close games, and I think that we really deserved to win those games because we tried, and I believe we swept them in 2 games, but it was close games, and I think that our team really bought in for those 2 games to come out on top.
And were you guys one of the top teams in the regular season that year?
Yeah, that's when the Bantam League played in the Midget AA League, and I think that was one of our best years I played hockey. We almost won every game, and every game was tight, and that was a really exciting year.
Wow. And you think that was because of the skill level that you guys had, and just a mix of you guys just coming together and buying in as well?
I think that was a lot of skill, as well as the both of us being good in the room as well. Lots of the girls that I played with on that team I'm playing with now, or have played with in the past couple years, and I will be probably lifelong friends with them as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, anytime you can build those lifelong friendships, it's always a great sign, a great thing to see. And just going back to the playoffs where you guys won the league and then you guys ended up winning provincials, is that something that you'll always remember?
Yeah, I think always when you win something big like that, it sticks in your mind for a while. And as one of my first big wins, I think that'll always be a memory of mine.
Moving into your time playing at the North American Hockey Classic, the NAHC, you played 3 seasons in that tournament, and you played with the Sask with 3 R's, which is a pretty funny name. And you also had a chance to play 2 seasons with the Saskatchewan Big Guns. But just starting off with your time playing for the Sask I mean, you guys, that's a team that you have a lot of memories from. Just describe the type of memories that you built with that type of team.
A lot of traveling. Probably one of my biggest hockey trips I've ever been on was with that team. We bussed all the way to Minneapolis for a tournament. And that was one of our funnest tournaments we've ever played in. We got to see lots of the U.S. and different places along the way, things like that. I also think that was a great group of girls that we had a lot of fun too.
And what was that like traveling to the Nahc here in Winnipeg, Manitoba?
We weren't lucky enough to take a bus, but we all went individually, but we ended up going for team suppers and things like that all together. I think just the time we got to spend in the hotel rooms and things like that were also extremely fun.
And any fun traveling stories that you remember quite fondly?
Can't think of any off the top of my head. I always remember packing my truck full of my grandpa and grandma and my mom and dad and I all squishing in there with the hockey bag in the back and traveling to Winnipeg, but that's about it.
Then you played for the Saskatchewan Big Guns at the U14 elite level, and you guys ended up making the finals back in 2017. You lost to the Selects in that game 6-5. So a heartbreaking game for sure when it's that close, when a championship is on the line. But then you guys came back in the next year and ended up winning a championship against the Futures in the final. And in that 2017 year, you put up 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points, which is extremely impressive, especially for a defenseman. But I mean, just for you as an offensive defenseman, I'm sure you're kind of expecting to put up that output. But just moving into the championship season the next year, you guys coming off a loss in the finals the year before, being able to get back to that finals game and win it. How special was that for you and your teammates?
It was awesome because we've been to that tournament so many years and we've always been pretty close to winning it, but we never actually did end up winning it. That year we hand selected a team to make sure that we would be able to go back and win it, and that was our last year of spring hockey we would get to play, so we wanted to go out with a bang, and that's exactly what we did.
And can you describe the experiences of playing spring hockey and how different it is from compared to playing in normal hockey leagues?
I think it's a lot more developmental, as my experience was for sure. In league, you don't really get that time to just develop yourself, where in spring hockey, most of it's about player development and then growing as a team, but you don't have as long to be as team, so it's kind of hard to meld that way and meld together. But most of the girls I did end up playing with were girls that I either played against or during leagues, so it was definitely easier to play with them.
And how did you develop your game in those years of playing spring hockey?
Like I said before, Jeff Brick is one of our coaches that he coached me for many years on Growl and then coached me during Ravens, and he's an amazing coach that was one of the biggest influencers in my life as a person and as a hockey player. He's very instrumental in my development and my skill asset as well.
Back here on Coffee with Graeme with Sydney Pedersen, number 9, senior defenseman for the Regina Rebels in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. This year, the Rebels are 3-0-1-0, and they're not playing any hockey right now due to COVID-19 putting the league on shutdown for the foreseeable future until they get a start date again to return to play. And I've been talking to Sydney about her time playing in her hometown, the town she was born in, of Milestone, Saskatchewan. I had a chance to talk to her about her time playing in Weyburn, her time playing for the Regina Ravens in 2016-17, where they ended up winning the league championship in the provincials. And we also moved into her time at the Nahc, where she played spring hockey, ended up winning that championship in that last year she played in spring hockey with the Saskatchewan Big Guns in 2018. Now we're going to move into your time with the Regina Rebels. You joined this team back in 2017, 18, very young at the time, but just how was that like trying out for that team and just the process of making that team back then?
It was definitely very stressful. I remember being extremely nervous, but at the same time, super excited. The girls were 4 years older than me at the time, and that was pretty intimidating. But I remember once talking with the coaching staff, and the girls were super welcoming. It definitely made the transition a lot easier.
And you would have been playing Bantam in that season normally, but you decided to make that jump to play at the midget level. Why did you choose to decide to take your game to that next level?
I think that it was mostly a developmental and personal decision. Mike did offer me a spot, and I thought, why not? It would be fun to go play at another level higher, and I think that I wouldn't really gain anything playing out of another league or another year of Bantam. So it was just mostly a developmental decision.
And how has Mike been as a coach? He got there the year before in his first year coaching in 2016-17. He's had experience playing at a high level of hockey. He's had a chance to coach at other levels besides this women's AAA level, in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. But just talk about the experience you've had playing under Mike Merck.
I think over the years, Mike and myself have gained quite the friendship and relationship through just me being a leader on the team and through spending so much time with him on the ice. And I think that him as a coach, he's very developmental and plays to win, which is exactly how I would coach my team. So I like it that way. And he definitely gives us all the opportunities to win and to become a better player.
And yeah, when you're able to kind of have a coach that thinks the same way you do, I mean, that's so beneficial for sure. And you were one of 7 rookies on that team, you being a player that would be playing at the Bantam level, deciding to make that jump to playing at the midget level. How did you handle that experience of playing on a team with just older girls at the time when you were so much younger?
There was a couple girls I knew on there before, just from playing hockey with them in spring or something like that. And knowing girls going in there was very beneficial just to kind of fit in with the group. There was 2 other girls that came in with me that were the same age as me, so having that extra support also made it a lot smoother.
And how did you handle that pace of playing at such a high level, such as the U18 AAA level, from just the years before, from playing at a pretty high level? You've been playing at the AA level prior to that, but how did you handle the pace in that first year?
Yeah, it took definitely a couple games to get adjusted to it. It's a lot faster. It was kind of a sink or swim situation. They gave us all the opportunities that we needed to show them what we had and to show them what type of player we were. And I think that once we got our feet underneath us, we just kept on moving.
And just describe the type of player you were in that first year. You were always offensively minded as a defenseman, but did you kind of find you had to change your style of game at that point?
I think that year was extremely humbling. From the year before, I could basically go end to end if I wanted to. In that year, it was a lot faster, a lot more skill on the ice, and a lot of different players. And so it was definitely hard physically and mentally to adjust to that game. I think it definitely, like I said before, humbled me to not be able to go just score whenever I wanted. And I think that helped me develop in my own end and make sure they didn't score on me, even though it was harder for me to go score.
And in that season, you guys finished 4th place. You put up 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points. How big of a boost was that for your confidence? Just you talked about how it was a humbling year, but just kind of working out the kinks of adjusting to this level throughout the first year you played in it, and just how nice was it to see the reward of you getting some points in that year?
Yeah, I was definitely helped with the transition, just to know that you could do it, and our coaches put us in situations where you were able to succeed. And I think that's extremely important when we're just young and trying to succeed as much as we could, and that they gave us the opportunities to develop.
And you guys ended up going to the semifinals in that year, losing to Saskatoon in 3 games. And you had a chance to experience playoff hockey at that level for the first time. What do you remember from just going through that playoff run that you guys did in that year?
It's war. It was a really tough games against Saskatoon. I think we got absolutely demolished, like 10-0 and things like that. But it was really fun hockey to play. It sucked losing, but at the beginning it was 0-0. So just to go out there and try your best and try and win was always exciting.
And what did you take away from the year you had after that season, when you had some time to reflect on the year that you did have?
I think just looking back, it was just an eye-opener to see what type of game was played at the mid-AAA level. And I think that moving into my next season, I just wanted to be even better. And now that I knew that what I was looking at to be against, that it would just be even better year for myself.
Moving into 2018-19, you guys end up finishing 2nd place in the league, and you're an older player in this season, going back to about 2 years ago now. But what do you remember from just taking on more responsibility in that year?
Yeah, definitely not being a rookie anymore. The coaches held you more accountable for your mistakes and wanted to see you help out the team offensively and defensively, and you had more responsibility. And I think just helping the players that were younger settle in as you did the year before was super important.
How were you able to grow as a player on the ice in that year?
That year was a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but it was not as stressful. You kind of knew what would be coming at you for players that you played against and the type of teams that you'd be going against, so you could prepare yourself more for that. And I think that it was just mostly trying to better myself, but at the same time not hindering the success of the team if you made any mistakes or anything like that.
And you guys end up, of course, finishing 2nd place in the league. You guys end up making it to the finals and setting up a rematch against Saskatoon. And this time it was a lot closer, even though you guys did get swept. There were 2 1-goal losses that you guys did suffer in that series. But what was it like getting to experience playoff hockey at that level, playing against Saskatoon again when you guys really wanted that championship, especially against them not being able to get it, but just the way that series went?
Well, we came back with a chip on our shoulder, and I think that we really wanted to win that year. We had all of our players bought in and were ready for what we knew would be coming. And I think that we just wanted to win so bad that hard work beats talent when talent ain't working. So it was fun to play those games because we knew we had a chance of beating them. And it really sucked to lose in those games. They were so tight, and at the end of the day, it was really hard fought battle.
And you guys have had a chance to, at that point, when you were playing on the team for your first 2 years, play Saskatoon in season games, of course, and games not only in the semifinals but in the finals. Could you talk about the rivalry that you guys built up with Saskatoon in those first 2 years and how the rivalry's been recently?
Ever since I've been on the team, there's always been a rivalry. I remember the first time we played them. That's what Mike told us before the game, is the rivalry. We always want to beat them. Now in more recent years, the gears have kind of switched that we've been able to come on top and beat them in our games that we played against them. And with this year, we were hoping to go and have some more good games against them, and hopefully we will get to do that in the new year.
And what do you think makes Saskatoon the type of organization that they are?
I think that they have a large area to pull from, that they have good developmental teams coming up and feeding their AAA program, and I think that they'll always be a hard team to beat.
Going into last season now, one of the best seasons in Regina Rebels history, where you guys went 26-1-1, and you took your offensive production to the next level. I mean, you had 33 points, 15 goals, 18 assists, and 28 games played. You were defensive league leader in points, so among defensemen, you led all defensemen in points in the league. And you were one of 2 winners of the top defenseman award in the league, the Colleen Sartorix Top Defenseman Award, along with Anna Lise King of Notre Dame. Just what was that like, being able to, after all the hard work you put in to get to the point where you were in that point in your career, to be rewarded with something like this? I'm sure that was pretty special for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I honestly didn't see it coming, being only a third year player, I guess, in the league. It's usually won by senior players, so it was super awesome to be able to get that award, and I think that it was finally nice to be rewarded for hard work.
And do you think your game broke out offensively just because of your experience that you had?
I think that the experience I had in the league, as well as the players I got to play with last year, we had an awesome team. Like I said before, in the dressing room and on the ice, our skill level was super high, and it was an awesome year all around.
Back here on Coffee with Graeme. Of course, this episode sponsored by Peewee AA and Fabric Land Winkler. I was talking to Sydney so far about her time just playing hockey in her career, what it was like playing with boys in one of her seasons, playing with the Regina Ravens back in 2016-17, where they ended up winning a championship, a league championship, and a provincial championship. And we've also been talking about just her time at the Nahc, which is the North American Hockey Classic, as well as her time so far with the Regina Rebels, and she ended up winning the league's Top Defenseman Award last year with another player. So 2 players won that award last year, and Sydney was talking about just what she thought really allowed her to take that next step in her game as a defenseman last year offensively, and she talked about just the skill set of players around her and the experience that allowed her to do that. What about your defensive game, though, last year? I'm sure that was at a pretty high level for you to be able to win this award.
Yeah, I think our coaches put me in situations that were defensively minded and offensively minded. I got to experience lots of power play time and penalty kill as a third-year player, and I think that those were both extremely important, and having that defensive play is even more important than the offensive, for sure.
Mike talked about the maturity of last year's group and how that was one of the biggest strong points, and just knowing how to respond last year in situations where you guys would be in close games, and just the commitment as well of last year's group. Do you think, in your opinion, that's what made this group such a special group of players last year?
Yeah, we didn't have very many young players, and I think that having that experience really was an asset to our team. And like I said before, the culture of the team in the room was a big part in what we did on ice as well.
And of course, Mike said that was one of the best dressing rooms that he had the pleasure of coaching. But he also talked about the depth last year, and you guys had so much experience. I mean, loads and loads of experience. Just how do you think that depth came together in games where you guys maybe needed one more goal to win those games?
I think, like, again, the experience of being in those situations before, and that the coaches could rely on pretty much everyone on the bench to go out and score. We had a lot of scoring throughout our entire roster, and I think that that was an important part of how we got to be the team that we were.
And I heard that you found out that the season was canceled when you guys were at a hotel and you guys were water sliding, and just a fun vibe, I'm sure it was. But just just hearing that the season was canceled at that point and you guys weren't able to go on a potential championship run, just how did the players handle it? I know that Mike said there were tears shed, of course, when you find out news like this that you're not able to play, especially for the veteran grade 12s. Just how did you guys handle that news, and how did you react to it?
It was really hard for sure. Our entire group kind of felt like we were kind of something was swept out from underneath us. We all knew that we'd have a really good run in playoffs and potentially even get to ESO. And I think that knowing that that was not an option anymore was heartbreaking. There's definitely a lot of tears shed in the hotel room that night, just seeing it come over the news and things like that. And then when we went to go get our equipment and things the next couple of days after, everybody was crying once yet again. And it was just hard to believe that it was actually real. It didn't seem like COVID was that big a thing at that time. It's definitely blown up to a bigger pandemic and all the rest now. But we needed to realize that it was bigger than ourselves at the time. And for me, I knew that this year we would hopefully get to play. For the girls that were graduating, they would never really get to experience the ESO or win the league like I potentially could this year.
Coming into this year with the type of team you guys do have, you guys got more rookies than you guys have last year, obviously, but you're one of the leaders on the team this year. Are you wearing a letter this year?
Yeah, I split the C with Larissa Bulkin this year.
Nice. And how has that been, splitting the C with her?
It's been awesome. Larissa and I are both fourth-year players. We played Growl before in spring, and I think that we're really close friends. She's one of my best friends, and I think that bond, along with our A's, who are also super close friends with us, make it super fun to lead the team. And I think that it helps everyone kind of respect us when we come from the same angle.
Knowing that the season can be stripped away from you just like that, I mean, you experienced it last season. We're experiencing it now with your league being on pause this year. But how much motivation did that give you coming into this year, knowing that things like this could be, you being able to play could be stripped away from you in an instant? Just the off-season work and the preparation that you put in to prepare for this season.
We trained really hard this summer. We did weekly challenges with the team. We did 5K runs on the weekends. We really wanted to come back and win what we didn't get to last year. I think that now that we've experienced that you may not have another game to play, that we come with the mindset that this may be your last game that you get to play, so you better give it your all.
And you guys are off to a great start. You guys are 3-0-1-0. Haven't lost a game yet this season. You guys were in a battle early on in the season. I mean, in one of your games this season with that OT win. Just knowing that you guys are at the top of the league, knowing the skill level of other teams like Swift Current, Notre Dame, Prince Albert, just other teams in this league. Of course, Saskatoon could come on at any point with the type of culture that they built up throughout their years. But do you believe that this team that you guys have this year, with the leadership group you guys got, the rookies that are coming in and contributing, just the all-around aspect of this team, could very well be champs at the end of the year when the return to play does happen in the league?
For sure. We had some extremely talented returning players, as well as some unreal rookies coming in, and I think that we definitely didn't get to showcase our best games. I really wanted to play Notre Dame before we got to ended by COVID, but hopefully we'll get to return and get to play all the teams and see where we match up against them.
Could you speak about the new girls coming in this year, the rookies, and how you guys have bonded in the short amount of time that you guys were with each other in person?
I think to the point where we are now, it kind of weeds out some of the players. So you're at the level with all the high players, and most of the girls are from around Regina and surrounding areas. So lots of us knew them from before, and we had some team bonding and things like that towards the end of the summer. So getting to hang out with them before we even got on the ice is very beneficial to building that relationship with each other.
Throughout your years of playing AAA, you've grown so much as a player and individual, both on the ice and off the ice, as a leader as well throughout these years. And it seems like you're always improving. But at this point, how much would you say that your game has grown not only on the ice, but off the ice and just as an individual as well?
I think that just being able to be around different people, experience different situations, play different teams, and play against different players is all helpful to where the development I'm at now. Right now, my focus is to develop and be ready to play for that next season next year. And I hope that we do get to play this year so that we do get to continue that as a team.
That's going to do it for today's edition of Coffee with Graeme. I'll be back with you on the network on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. to bring you another edition of MFHL season coverage. I wasn't able to find a Santa hat around my house, but I do have a Christmas sweater, so I'm going to be rocking that to get into the festivities of the holiday season, since it will be on Christmas Eve. So until next time, folks, stay safe out there. Happy holidays. Have a good one, and I'll see you later.